Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to explore how to build an interactive story generator using AI. This is a great project for beginners who want to learn more about AI and large language models. Before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, today we're working with Mistral AI, a powerful language model which is one of the top choices for projects like these. Without further ado, let's get coding. First, we're going to gather our tools. To begin, I highly suggest that you write all your code here on Google Colab. It's what I'm using right now, and it's great for machine learning. In the very first cell here, these commands install the latest versions of 3 important Python libraries directly into our environment. Transformers is a machine learning library from huggingface.co with thousands of pre-trained models, including Mistral. This is the huggingface website, and this page has all the instructions for setting up the Mistral 7B Instruct v0.2 model, which is what we're going to be using today. So I would definitely recommend that you would check it out. Accelerate here helps us run our model more efficiently with our GPU, also known as a graphics processing unit. Our model will run much faster on a GPU or a TPU, tensor processing unit, rather than a CPU. If you're getting confused or you don't have a GPU, don't worry. Google Colab has its own free GPU resources that you can leverage. So if you want to do that, you have to go into runtime, go into change runtime type, and for you, it's probably showing as CPU, but you can switch it to a GPU because again, that is much more efficient for projects like these. Now, bits and bytes here is used for handling large amounts of data, making our AI faster and saving more memory. Think of these libraries as necessary equipment that we need for our AI project here. Now, in our second cell here, we're going to import 2 important components from our Transformers library. The auto tokenizer helps translate our instructions and prompt into something that Mistral can understand, and I'll talk more about this in a moment. And auto model for causal LM is how we're going to load Mistral AI itself, getting ready for generating the actual story. Now, in the third cell here, we're going to be kind of waking up Mistral AI. We're going to load it by initializing the Mistral 7B v0.2 model and its tokenizer. The device map equals to auto setting right here. Make sure that Mistral uses the best device available, whether it's a GPU, TPU, or CPU. Now that we've gotten these steps done, we can finally get into the main code. In the fourth cell here, we're going to involve the user in the storytelling. So we're going to ask for characters, and then we're going to ask for the setting, and then we're going to ask for the style as well. These answers will help shape the story that Mistral is going to tell. And now looking down at the prompt here, we're basically going to tell the AI in a very style story. These certain characters find themselves in a setting. As the story unfolds, it leads up to a crucial decision point. There should be 3 options for how our story continues, and this is what's going to make it more interactive if the user gets to choose which option they want to continue with. Now, let's discuss the generation parameters. And so the generation parameters are basically the settings that we have to give to the model for us to get the best response that we want. So max new tokens right over here tells Mistral that the story can't be more than 1,000 words, but the prompt itself doesn't count as part of the 1,000 words, which is why we need to type max new tokens so that we can control how many new words the model is writing by itself. Now, temperature here controls the creativity. I chose 0.5 as my temperature because it gives the model a good balance between being creative and predictable. This way, the model can think of interesting and fun stories without talking about something completely off topic. Finally, do sample allows Mistral to choose words a little more randomly from different types of datasets for more variety, instead of always just picking the most probable word in a sentence. So now let's run this. Okay, it's asking us for our characters. Let's just put in some names here. And then it's asking us for a setting. What we're going to do is we're just going to put in a bright sunny day. Again, these are random. It's up to you what you want to make the setting or the style of the story. This is all very flexible. I'm gonna type in humorous because I want it to be a funny story. Now, in this part of the cell, we're going to do a process called tokenizing. In tokenization, the input, which is our prompt here, is split into a list of individual words or subwords, which is then converted into numeric values. And this helps the model analyze and understand our instructions much better. After tokenization, Mistral is ready to generate its response. So again, when we're using the generate method of the model, we're going to put in the input IDs, which is basically the tokenized version of what our prompt, so that the model will understand what we're asking. And then we're going to put in the generation parameters. We already talked about this. These are like the settings. And then the pad token ID here. The pad token ID, it's basically where the Mistral model is going to get to work in padding all of the different sentences. This way it knows how to add extra tokens at the end of short text sequences so that it can fill up the empty spots and keep all the sentences at the same length. And this is really important in pre-processing because it helps the model pack all the sentences together in a uniform shape. So now let's run this. After Mistral writes the story, we translate it back into English. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the batch decode method, which is basically going to turn those input IDs back into a list of strings. Now, here we have our story, and it says, once upon a time in a little town of Sunnyvale, and then the rest of the story goes in down a certain path, and then at the end, the story reaches a plot twist. So the friends looked at each other at their hearts pounding in their chests. They had three options to choose from: investigate the cause of the commotion, retreat to safety and observe from a distance, and seek help from the townspeople and enlist their aid in solving the mystery. Now it's our job as the user to choose one of these options. In order to do that, we have to start a loop, allowing the story to continue based on our choices, making the adventure interactive. We're going to set the variable continue true to equal true, continue story to equal true by default, so that the loop keeps running until we set the variable to false. Now this is because while loops run on a certain condition, and if we don't set it to false, it's going to cause an infinite loop because our variable will be true. But since we are going to set it to false in a moment, first let me explain what the user choice here means. It's pretty straightforward. Alright, we're telling the user to continue the story based on the options above, or to type end to finish. And so let's say the user wants to stop this program altogether. Then we're going to set the variable to false so that the loop doesn't repeat another time. And then we're going to print the final story. But if the user does want to select one of the options, and after that they want the story to finish, we're still going to set it to false because, again, this is going to be the last iteration of the loop. And after that, we're going to say which option do you want to choose, and then we're basically going to copy paste our entire thing from this cell over here and pretty much define new variables like follow a prompt and let's go with a certain option, and then finish off the story with a solid ending. And then we're going to have the same process here. Or if the user actually wants to keep the story going, we're going to tell the AI model to go with a certain option, and we're going to give them the story first because the model won't remember every single output it's given in the past. That's why we need to give it context by putting the variable story first, and then we're going to tell it what option the user chose, and then we're going to tell it to give another 3 options for how the story should continue, and then it's just going to go so on and so forth. And after that, we're going to append the follow-up story to our main story variable so that we can continue this process in constantly choosing an option and continuing the story. So now let's run this. Okay, so it's asking us to continue the story based on one of these options. Let's say we want to pick option number 1, so I'll just type that in, and it's getting to work. Okay, so now as you can see, we chose this option in the first story segment, and now the AI has generated another segment of our story. And again, this is a really good story with a good plot, and this AI model is very powerful. That's why it's able to write with such good grammar and vocabulary, and it's also really creative. Now we have another 3 options, and this time let's go with option 2. It's saying engage the dragon in battle and try to defeat it. So that sounds pretty fun. Let's just enter that. And actually, I want to finish the story. So instead of just stopping it immediately, we're just going to put in finish. Now it's asking us which option do we want to choose, and then we're going to put 2, and after we click enter, the AI is going to generate a new segment, and after that the story is going to end because we clicked finish. Alright, so now that that's done running, since I actually did forget to put the print statement in this finish block, don't worry, you don't have to rerun the cell if you make mistakes like this. Since all of the variables are already stored in Google Colab, you can just make a new cell and say print follow-up story. And so now you can look at the story. It basically gives us the history of our choices and our story and our options so far. And then at the end, it gives us the final segment of the story and then just says the end right over here. So as you can see, it just finished off the story with like a nice good ending like we asked it to. And again, these cells did take quite a bit of time to run, and they took a lot of memory as well. But again, if you actually go in and read all this, you'll notice that this is a really solid story and really solid ending as well. So that's the thing with these models. They do take a lot of resources, but they're really, really powerful. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it taught you how you can make your own story generator using AI. And if you want to see more videos like this, drop a comment down below, like my video, and subscribe to my channel. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.